beyond the genome, evolution, the viruses that help to make you human. So beyond the genome. So what are the meanings of beyond and the genome? Beyond means farther away in the distance, farther away in the distance. And genome means um, that the complete set of genetic material of a human, animal, plant, or other living thing. So that's what is genome. Okay, something like the whole group of genus in an organism. The whole group of genus in an organism. Okay, so let's continue. So this article is written by Michael Marshall on 21st May 2023. So there is a subtitle actually. Although they are more commonly associated with causing disease and at times devastating pandemics, viruses have also played an important role in human evolution. And without them, you wouldn't be here at all. And without them, you wouldn't be here at all. So let's check the meanings of these couple of words. Although. So what's the meaning of although? So let's check. Although meaning despite the fact that. Okay. But. That's another synonym. So despite the fact that. But. Although. Although. Though. But. Or though. These are meaning same actually. So although they are more commonly associated with causing diseases and at times devastating pandemics, viruses have also played an important role in human evolution. And without them, you wouldn't be here at all. Okay, let's continue the article. The Mabuya lizards that live in the Andes Mountains of Colombia are not like other reptiles. They're not like other reptiles. While the majority of reptiles lay eggs with hard shells, some Mabuya species give birth to live young. Okay, these are actually the Mabuya lizards. They're giving an example of the evolution. These Mabuya lizards actually they are reptiles. Reptiles. While the majority of reptiles lay eggs with hard shells, normally they lay eggs with hard shells. Some Mabuya species give birth to live young. Crucially, the mothers have placentas. Placentas. We'll check the meaning of the word. Specialized organs for feeding the developing young inside their bodies. Placentas. So the mothers have placentas. So crucially, the mothers have placentas, specialized organs for feeding the developing young inside their babies. So let's check the word placentas. Placentas, the temporary organ that feeds a fetus. Fetus. The temporary organ that feeds a fetus, developing baby, inside its mother's womb. So that's actually an organ. Placentas means this is an organ which feeds a growing baby inside a mother's womb. Wow, it's interesting. So placentas are more commonly associated with mammals. More commonly associated with mammals, like mice and humans. Like mice and humans. So humans and mice, we are mammals. We are placental mammal. You see, we are placental mammals. So placentas, placental mammals. But other kinds of animal have also evolved placentas. But other kinds of animals, not only the mammals, other kinds of animal have also evolved placentas. And in 2001, zoologists Marta Patricia Ramirez Pinilla and Adriana Jerez of the Industrial University of Santander in Bucaramanga, Colombia, revealed that Mabuya lizards have extremely advanced placentas. Mabuya lizards have these reptiles have extremely advanced placentas, same as the mammals like us. Okay, not too dissimilar from ours. Wow, not too dissimilar from ours. So these reptiles have developed, generated, automatically the placenta same as the mammals and not too dissimilar from ours. Not too dissimilar. So quickly let's check the meanings of mammals, zoologists and dissimilar. Okay. So mammals means any animal of which the female feeds her young on milk from her own body. Most mammals give birth to live young, not eggs. So give birth to live young. Okay. Not laying eggs. Same as like humans, dogs, elephants, and dolphins, mammals, uh, but birds, fish, and crocodiles are not. Okay. So up to like dolphins are mammals. Now let's check the other word, zoologists. So what's the meaning of zoologist? Zoologist means a person who scientifically studies animal. A person who scientifically studies animal. That's what a zoologist is. Okay, person who scientifically studies animals. And dissimilar. Well, probably we all know the meaning of dissimilar, but still I will check it. Dissimilar. Dissimilar means different. The new house is not dissimilar, is similar to our old one. So there is not different, not similar, dissimilar, dissimilar. The new house is not dissimilar, is similar. So to our old one, except this one. So which means different, different, diverse, heterogeneous, you know. So it means difference, not similar anymore. It's dissimilar. It's different. It's diverse. Okay. Now let's continue the next paragraph. While this was surprising enough for a reptile, which typically lay leathery eggs, the real revelation came 16 years later. The real revelation came 16 years later when Ramirez Pinilla teamed up with the genetics theory head man of Gustave Rossi in Paris, France, and his colleagues. They found that the lizards have gennae that is essential for the formation of the placenta. They found that the lizards have gennae that is essential for the formation of placenta, and that gennae came from a virus. So this is something very important. So they found that from the studies that the lizards, the reptile, have a gennae that is essential for the formation of the placenta, and that gennae came from a virus. So here is evolution. Okay, let's check the word of revelation. Revelation. So revelation means the act of making something known that was a secret or a fact that is made known. The act of making something known that was secret or the fact that is made known. A moment of revelation. His wife divorced him after the revelation that he was having an affair. Okay. To be an extremely pleasant surprise. To be an extremely pleasant surprise. So real revelation. It's typically letter X. The real revelation came after. The real surprise came after in 16 years later. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. Within the last 25 million years, the ancestors of the lizards, within the last 25 years, the ancestors of the lizards were infected by a virus that incorporated, were infected by a virus that incorporated some of its own DNA into their genome, that incorporated some of its own DNA into their genome. But instead of being harmed, instead, let's check the meaning of instead of being harmed, the lizard somehow co-opted the viral DNA and used it to develop their first placentas. Thanks to the virus, the lizards evolved a new organ. The lizards evolved a new organ. Okay, so let's quickly check these words. Ancestors. So what's the meaning of ancestors? A person related to you who lived a long time ago. Okay, your pioneers, your forefather, your how to say ancestor. See, any member of your family from long ago, for example, the grandparents of your grandparents. So they are the ancestors. Okay. So within the last 25 million years, the ancestors of the lizards were infected. 25 million years. The ancestors, the lizards, were infected by a virus that incorporated some of its own DNA into their genome. Say incorporated. Okay, so what's the meaning of incorporated? Used after the name of a company, that is corporation. Okay. So incorporated means used in the so incorporated means I could not find the meaning to be frank, but we will check in Google to give you the exact incorporated meaning. Incorporated meaning to unite or combine to form a single whole. Okay. So here it says that see that the virus that incorporates some of its own DNA into their genome, into that reptile's genome, but instead of being harmed, the lizard somehow co-opted. Okay, the lizard somehow co-opted the viral DNA and used it to develop the first placentas. So by using those, the DNA from the virus, that lizard has developed that placentas in the body. So thanks to the virus, the lizards evolved a new organ. So lizard has evolved a new organ. The genomic acquisition coincided. The genomic acquisition coincided. So with the shift from non-placental to placental lizard, says Hegman. So genomic acquisition. So let's quickly check the meaning of acquisition. Acquisition means an asset or object bought or obtained, typically by a library or museum. So the learning or developing or a skill. So acquiring, some acquisition. So something like earning, something like obtained, acquisition. And coincided. Coincided means occur at the same time. Publication is timed to coincide with a major exhibition. Occur at the same time. Publication is timed. Occur, correspond in nature, tally. Like the things happen at the same time. Okay, coincide. So the genomic acquisition coincided with the shift from non-placental to placental. So the same time that got shifted from the non-placental to placental lizard. Okay, now let's continue. The unusual thing The unusual thing about this story, however, is that it's not unusual. Okay, the unusual thing about the story is that it's not unusual. About a tenth of the human genome comes from viruses. Wow, that's new information even for me because I don't really have any, base of these science regarding, especially things related to human biology or anything. So about a tenth of the human genome comes from viruses, and that viral DNA has played crucial roles in our evolution. So many of that, like about a tenth of the human genome comes from viruses. Many of the human genome comes from viruses, and the viral DNA played crucial roles in our evolution. So some of it was the source of the mammalian placenta. Some of it was the source of the mammalian placenta. So that means some of these DNAs from the viruses were the like a mammalian placenta. That's what made us the real mammals, and it helped us to develop certain placenta and to become mammal. Other bits are involved in our immune response against disease. Other bits are involved in our immune response against disease and in the formation of new genes. Without viruses, humans could not have evolved. Well, that's something very interesting. So, without viruses, humans could not have evolved. So that means, these viruses also have made very significant changes in human biology, human evolution. Now let's continue. Viruses are so simple that many biologists do not regard them as fully alive. Okay, viruses are so simple that many biologists do not regard them as fully alive. Each virus is essentially a microscopic package of genetic material. So each virus is essentially a microscopic package of genetic material. They can only reproduce by infecting living cells. They can only reproduce by infecting living cells. They subvert the cell's machinery to make copies of themselves. In doing so, they often make their hosts ill. They only reproduce by infecting living cells. I mean, just like how we become sick. Okay, they subvert. So let's quickly check the meaning of subvert. Subvert meaning undermine the power and authority. Okay, destabilize, unsettle. They subvert the cell's machinery to make copies of themselves. So they literally like they make the changes, and for what? To make copies of themselves. In doing so, they often make their horses ill. Of course, it is because they are infecting So often make their hosts ill. So that means if the virus start to get produce themselves in my body, as I am the host, I become ill. Okay, now let's continue the next paragraph. Viruses that insert their own genetic material into the host's genome are called retroviruses. See, that's something very important. It's a good information actually. The viruses that insert their own genetic material into the host's genome are called retroviruses. Their nature was first understood in the 1960s and 1970s, although some had been isolated decades before. Okay, so the nature was first understood in 1960 and 1970s, although some had been isolated decades before. So I hope you guys know the meaning of these words. So following a suggestion in 1964 that some viruses might copy their own genetic material. Viruses might copy their own genetic material into the DNA of their hosts. The researchers identified DNA of viral origin in the genome of chickens. So, although some had been isolated decades before, following a suggestion in 1964 that some viruses might copy their own genetic material into the DNA of their hosts. Researchers identified DNA viral origin in the genomes of chickens. Despite being a large and diverse group of viruses, despite being a large and diverse group, so what's the meaning of diverse? Let's quickly check. Showing a great deal of variety, very different. So diverse, diversified, diverse. So despite being a large and diverse group of viruses, only 4 retroviruses are currently known to infect humans. All were discovered in the 1980s. A human T lymphotropic viruses 1, HTLV1, which causes a form of cancer, along with the closely related HTLV2 and human immunodeficiency virus. Human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, types 1, 2, which cause AIDS. Okay, so let me read this once again. Despite being a large and diverse group of viruses, only four retroviruses are currently known to infect humans. Only 4 of them are currently known to infect humans. Okay, all were discovered in the 1980s. Human T lymphotropic viruses 1, that's the first one, which causes a form of cancer. The lymphotrophic virus 1, HTLV1, which causes a form of cancer only, along with the closely related HTLV2 and human immunodeficiency virus HIV types 1 and 2, which cause AIDS. Okay, so if a retrovirus infects a cell in a person's lungs or skin, that may be bad news for the person, but it has limited consequences for our species. It has limited consequences for our species. Evolution, as this DNA is not passed on to the next generation, but it has limited consequences for our species. Evolution, as this DNA is not passed on to the next generation. That's good, at least. However, sometimes retroviruses gets into the germ line, the cells that give rise to eggs and sperm, where viral DNA can be passed on to our offspring. Oh, okay. However, sometimes the retrovirus gets into the germ line. So, what's the meaning of germ line? Let's quickly check. The cells that form eggs in females and sperm in males. Oh, okay. The cells that give rise to eggs and sperm, where viral DNA can be passed on to our offspring. These pieces of viral DNA are called endogenous retroviruses, or ERVs. It is these heritable bits of viral DNA that can change the course of evolution. ERVs everywhere. ERVs.